Hi, this is Bonnie Barker with BonnieBabeCrochet.com and welcome to my first video ever on knitting. I am in the process of learning how to knit using the Continental Style, which is a style that is very adaptable for a die-hard crocheter like myself. And for our first project, we're going to make this little cup cozy, which is great for using on, those hot cups of coffee that you may get from your favorite, coffee supplier. And I'm just showing it to you on a metal cup, but really they work really well on those paper cups. Let me slide that off and show you what this looks like. Okay, and both sides are the same. This is just using the knit stitch back and forth, back and forth. It's just a very easy first project. Shouldn't take more than an hour or two to make. So if you want to go ahead and gather your supplies, you're going to need a set of knitting needles. They don't have to be fancy. I'm using size 9, which is 5.5 millimeter, and you're going to need a yarn needle for hiding some loose strands, and you're going to need a pair of scissors. Okay, so if you want to gather those, one more thing. You're going to need some type of a measuring tape so that you know when to stop knitting. All right, you can gather those things and come join me. Oh yeah, one more thing. You're going to need some yarn, and for this project I'm just using some leftover Red Heart yarn, Super Saver. If you have another kind of acrylic, that would work fine. Anything worsted weight. If you even have wool worsted weight, Aran size yarn, that would be great too. I just do recommend that you stay away from using cotton for the first few projects because cotton is a little less forgiving. It's not stretchable at all. Acrylic works really well. It's pretty stretchable. Wool is great for these kinds of projects. Save your cotton for something later, but for these beginning projects, let's use something that's a little more forgiving. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, to begin this project, we are going to need a pair of knitting needles. These can be straight needles, they can be circular needles, it really doesn't matter. I'm using size 9, which is 5.5 millimeter. This is about the same diameter, or it is the same diameter as using a size I crochet hook. So if that's a reference guide, if you maybe don't know exactly the size you have. Okay, now if you don't have this particular size, you want to have one size smaller or larger. I don't think it's really going to matter for this project since it's such a small and it's a beginning project. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cast on. You're only going to need about not even a foot really. So let's go ahead and we're going to make a slip knot. Make a loop and take the strand coming from your scan or your yarn source and pull it through the loop like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that again. If you just want to make a loop like this, hold it with your thumb and bring your yarn through that loop. It's just like making a slip knot in crochet. And I'm going to pull that down. I'm going to slip it onto the hook. Onto the needle. I'm going to get my terminology straight eventually. Okay, now this is where it's a little bit tricky, but if you just hang with me, I think you'll get this. Now, you're going to take your yarn hold. This is probably the most important part of this whole process. The yarn hold that I use both for crocheting and for knitting, it's the same exact thing. The type of hold that I'm going to show you for the knitting is called Continental Style. That's the commonly used term. And let me show you what I do. Okay, I have my yarn over these 3 fingers. Now, we just finished watching the Olympics on TV, and if you saw the 4-man bobsled, I'm going to use a term called the brakeman, and my brakeman is going to be my pinky. Okay, and what this brakeman does is he or she controls how much yarn is allowed to slip through my fingers. It controls the tension. Okay, now these 2 fingers don't do anything just yet, and I'm going to have the yarn go over the top of my pointer finger, and this finger's job is going to be to pull the yarn up from the brakeman as I need yarn. Okay, now the thumb and the tall man finger, when crocheting, usually grab on to the fabric that's being crocheted. Okay. In knitting, these are the two hands that are actually going to be holding on. They're just going to be holding on to that other knitting needle. So really it's not that different from crochet. So now, but the casting on is a little different. We don't ever have to cast on. We just make chains for crochet. But in this case, what I want you to do is have that yarn hold in your non-dominant hand. And then this other string, which is that little tail, go ahead and put that over your thumb like this. And then you can kind of grab onto it like this. So we almost like we have kind of like a diamond in our hand like this. Okay. Let me show that to you again. Okay, use this. Get your yarn hold that you normally use for crochet, or most of you, or some of you may not use this yarn hold for crochet. If you don't, I would highly recommend getting used to that, because I do think it makes crocheting much faster and smoother. Now the other hand, put it over the outside of the thumb, and then grab both strands like this. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take this knitting needle, you're going to grab under, and then grab over like that, and then let go, pull it down. Okay, and then we go back, and we're going to do that again. Under, and then over, and then, pull it down. You want to pull them so they're, taut, but not too tight. Okay, you don't want them loose, but you don't want them so tight that you can't, get anything underneath the strands. Okay, let's do that again. Under, and then over the other string and pull it down. This is called the double cast on, I believe. Okay, so under. Oops, let me do that one again. Okay, get my hand hold here. Take under this one and then go over that one and pull it through. I'm going to do this until I have 10 strands on my needle. Okay, so we have 6, so we're going to do 4 more. 7, under, over, that's 8, that's 9, and let's do one more. It's going to be just a small sample. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now we're going to turn, and I'm going to grab my other needle. Now remember, I'm going to show you, I am using a circular set, but you do not need a circular set for this. I'm just using this because I have a whole bunch of different size needles I can draw from when I use this set. If you just have 2 regular ones, that's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. This is what you should have. Okay, I'm going to turn this to go this direction. I'm going to pick up my other knitting needle. Now before I get too carried away, I'm going to go ahead and get this yarn hold like this going. Now these 2 fingers, the tall man and the thumbkin, who didn't have anything to do, well, now they have a job, and their job is to hold the needle. So instead of holding the fabric like you would on crochet, you're holding the needle, and that's the main difference here. So now we're going to learn the knit stitch. When it's represented in patterns, it's the K, with the letter K. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into the back side of this stitch here. I'm going to put the needle in. See, it's gone through to the other side. Now with my left hand, or with my non-dominant hand, I should say, I'm going to put the yarn forward over the stitch like that. I'm sorry, over the needle. and then I pull it through, and then I pull it off, and that's the first stitch. Pull this string through here. Okay, now let's do another one. We put the needle through from the back side, the yarn forward, pull up a loop, and pull it off the needle. Let's do that again. Okay, now we're coming in. Just make sure you can see that the back side, go through, wrap it forward, bring around the loop, and pull it off. Forward, go, wrap it forward, pull up a loop, and pull it off the needle. Let's do that again. Just want to do this slowly. Pull up a loop and pull that off. Okay, and we are going in just, that way, just behind. Go forward, pull up a loop, pull it off. It does get a little looser and easier once you get past this first row. Now notice that I am keeping the yarn back behind the needles, and I'm coming in from the back side. Go forward, pull up a loop. Okay, two more. Go in, wrap it forward, pull up a loop, take it off, and then the last one, forward, pull up a loop, take it off. Okay, and this is what we have so far. It still doesn't look like much. Let's go ahead and turn, and we're going to just work this knit stitch just straight again. Okay, we come in from behind, go forward, pull up a loop, pull it off. Whoops, let me do that again. Wrap it, pull up a loop, wrap forward, pull up a loop. I'm just doing the same thing for this project, just using knit stitch. And what's nice about this is as you go, you can actually get some nice speed going, even as a new knitter. And I will say I really do like using these wooden needles as opposed to the metal. Now some of you may prefer metal, and that's perfectly fine. Personally, I've tried the metal, and I've actually not had much success with those. But maybe it was just I was using other materials that were inferior at the time. Okay, so we're just going to keep going back and forth on this. Let me just make sure my hooks, my needles are still attached well. Okay, I'm going to show you one more, and you can see as we go the knit. What's going to happen is you're going to see a row that looks like, well, it's knit both sides, but when you traditionally have let's say a sweater that's knit, you'll have one row of knit, one row of purl, one row of knit, one row of purl, and then that will give you more of a traditional look that you may be used to. But this is going to be just strictly knit. So I'm going to do one more. We're coming in again from the back side, go forward, and slide off. I'm going to just show you just how much easier this is. I'm not going to go real fast. I'm not as skilled as that yet, but just to show you just how easy this can become. Make sure you keep that yarn in the back. And when you go in, make sure that you go over the front, not from the back. Go over the front of the needle. Let me show you, there's a little fiber there that was attached. I'm going to slide that off. Okay. So we're ready to just do this again. So now you can, let me show you, there's a little bit of a, I don't know if it's not so much a mistake, but where the fibers didn't quite do what I wanted them to do. Let me go ahead and show you one more row and show you how I'm just going to slide that off my needle and it'll be fixed for this next one. Okay. I'm going to make sure I can try to fix that. Okay, after I do this one, I'm going to slide it off. Now I'm just going to slide that fiber off and it's fine now. You keep hearing my little wire there hit the base of the tripod. Sorry about that. It's generally not that noisy when I'm sitting on the couch doing this. Whoops, you can see I'm still not real skilled on this, but I'm working at it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on this. So I'm going to have you go ahead and work this with me until this measures approximately 8 inches. Okay, once you have this measuring 8 inches in length, then come back and I'll show you how we're going to finish this. Okay, now that I've worked the knit stitch back and forth, both sides do look the same. It's time for us to do what we call binding off. And there may be many different ways to do this, but I'm going to show you the way that I've learned to do this. Okay, we are going to start by knitting the first 2 stitches, just like you've been doing. Okay, and then once you get 2 stitches, we're going to lift this first string off, just like that. So the first stitch is bound off. Now we're going to knit the next one, like so. Then when we get 2 strands, we're going to lift this one off. I'm a little hesitant there. Okay, so now we have 2 of the stitches bound off. Now we're going to knit the next one. Okay, and then use our needle to lift the next stitch off, and we're going to do that all the way across. 1, and then pull that off. See, I'm not real good at this yet, as you can see. I'm not super fast. I'm learning right alongside you. Okay, and then lift this one off. Okay, so see what it forms almost like a chain that you would find at the top of a crocheted piece, which is kind of cool. So it's not, oops, I'm sorry, I'm wrapping it the wrong way. Wrap forward. And then bring this over that. And knit another one. Almost done here. And then the last one,
ahead and knit it. And then bring this over. Would happen to be the stubborn one. Okay. And so now this is the one that's attached to your string. And we're going to get our scissors, and I'm going to cut a nice long string because I'm going to use this string. Okay. And then we pull this all the way through. Okay. So that's done. This is what it looks like for it to be bound off. Okay, so we're finished with that part. So now what we need to do is we need to put these two together, and we need to sew them, to sew that seam. And I'll go ahead and do that. Let's get our yarn needle right like so. And all you experienced crocheters out there know how to sew a seam. So let's go ahead and begin sewing these seams. Okay, I'm gonna take a couple there, and we're just gonna line these up, and I'm gonna use the whip stitch and sew these all the way across. If you have, maybe if you have a better way to do that, feel free. If you have a special way of sewing, or you guys, we could even just crochet this clothes since we're crocheters. But I'm just going to go ahead and finish it up with just a simple whip stitch seam. Probably not the best seam I've ever done. And let's go ahead and fasten this off. Okay, I'm gonna maybe run it under a couple of these before I finish it off. This is going to be on the inside and not showing, so I'm just going to pull it. Okay. Going to give that a tug, and then I'm going to clip this very closely, and I have one more strand I need to hide. I need to hide the beginning strand. I'm going to run it under a couple loops here. I'm going to run it. I'm going to run it through the same seam. Why not? Okay. Go ahead and hide that. Okay, now I'm going to turn it right side out. Okay, and so this is what we're going to use this for. I'm borrowing my son's mug. And so when we're done, you can use that on a coffee mug. This can be really handy just to keep in your purse and pull it out for some of those cardboard or paper cups that you might get at your favorite coffee shop. And this will just give you a little more layer than a piece of cardboard that'll keep your hand nice and warm but not hot, keep you from getting burned. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that very beginning tutorial. I'm going to be posting some more tutorials to show how to do purl and a combination of the knit and purl. So if you don't want to miss any of these, please just hit that subscribe button on the Bonnie Bay Crochet page there, and you won't miss anything coming to you. Okay, well that ends this tutorial. God bless. Bye-bye.